In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Now I want to continue with page 8, which talks about the computational system. We said that language is, according to Chomsky, a kind of computational system which exists in the الدماغ أو مخ أو ذهن. Okay, now we want to continue with what we mean by this kind of ability, which enables a child to talk, which does not enable a chimpanzee, a monkey to talk. Only humans are able to talk. A chimpanzee is not able to talk, so let us see what is out there in it. Page 8 actually, section 1.3 talks about the computational system. It talks about line 2, about, well, a lexicon, which is a kind of mental dictionary. Lexicon, which is a kind of mental dictionary. Well, the child has got something like the mental dictionary in it and puts the words inside that dictionary. When he or she is adult, he or she uses that in order to talk. So this is a glass for tea. Okay, this is a glass for tea. The word glass is a word in the dictionary. What kind of dictionary? In the lexicon. There is something like it here in the dictionary, in the mind, which actually has got something like this in it. Okay, so line 2 talks about the lexicon. Okay, just let me make it clear, like 2. Okay, and so there are different vocabularies there, which we call this as lexical entries. Lexical entries, line 4. Okay, so first of all, we have something like this as a member of, in fact, computational system. But let us come back to the first line. So it says the makeup of the computational system actually is then the subject matter of linguistics. Linguistics wants to study what is inside, what is the elements of this, in fact, system, okay, which includes the vocabulary as well and the structure. We are going to talk about it later on. So it's a combination of structure and vocabulary. Okay, well, then this is the first part, which we call it as the lexicon. Okay, number 1 is the lexicon. If you actually go down to the second part, the 4 lines to the end of page 8, the book says the second vital component in the computational system is the principles of universal grammar. The principles of universal grammar. So, in addition to the lexicon, we have another element inside the mental, in fact, computational system. Okay, what is that? It is the principles, al-mabadi'. Okay, well, let us see what is al-mabadi'. Okay, knowledge of language, line 2 of the last paragraph on page 8. It says, knowledge of language is based upon a core of set of al-mabadi', principles. Okay? Embodied in all languages, which is part of all languages, including Arabic. Okay? And in the minds of all human beings. So what do we have? We have got in the minds something called al-mabadi'. Al-mabadi'. Okay? So embodied in all languages and in the minds of all human beings. This enables me and you to talk. But this does not enable a kalb, a baqar, a thor, okay, to talk. Does not enable. Okay? They do not have something like computational systems in their minds. So let us call it al-mabadi'. The English word is principles. If I am mistaken with the words, just come to my, in fact, WhatsApp page and correct me. I suppose they call it as al-mabadi'. Okay? Line 3 says, it doesn't matter whether one speaks English, Japanese, Inuktitut, Persian, Arabic, Kurdish, no matter how, no matter. You have got these principles, okay? At some level of abstraction, the last line, all languages rely on the same principles. Okay? So all languages have these general guidelines that are there inside the minds, regularities of all languages. Another element in addition to al-mabadi' is something we call it as parameters. Al-mutaghayyir. Al-mutaghayyir, I suppose. Al-mutaghayyir. Okay? Well, let us see. Well, line 1 of page 9 says the difference between languages amount to a limited choice between a certain number of variables called parameters. So, in addition to principles, which is the same for all human languages, we have got parameters which are the points of variation from one language to another, from one language to another. Okay? Called parameters. So, a combination of two things, principles and parameters, according to Chomsky, makes up our language. We have got two things at the same time. One is principle, the other is parameters. Principles, parameters. Okay? The general guidelines belong to the principles, the specific differences between Farsi and English, between, let's say, English and Arabic, relies on the parameters. For one language it is like this, for the other it is like that. We say a combination of al-mabadi' wal-mutaghayyarat. Al-mabadi' wal-mutaghayyarat wal-nadariyya al-mabadi' wal-mutaghayyarat. Okay? In English they call it principles and parameters. Principles and parameters. It is part of what Chomsky thinks that language is. Okay? I've got one thing like a page. I'm going to show it in my, in fact, computer. You are going to, which is in Arabic, and you are going to, in fact, read it in your own Fusha, okay, and upload it for me, especially the first 2-3 paragraphs, about 20-30 lines at the beginning is good for you. If you actually continue, it is good, but maybe it becomes difficult, more and more difficult for you to understand. Anyway, so the computational system has got two things. One is the lexicon, and number two is the combination of principles and parameters. Number one, the lexicon. Number two, a combination of two things at the same time, principles and parameters, which make us our language. Okay, so if you actually go to page 9, you can find the word parameters, and on page 8, at the end of page 8, 4 lines to the bottom of page 8, you can find the word principles, and line 2 on page 9, you can find the parameters. So a better, in fact, computational system appears on page 9 at the bottom of the page, figure 1.6, which says the computational system is like this. Again, you see the computational system down there, okay? To the left, you have LF, PF, phonetic form, and to the right, we have the logical form. To the left, we have the sounds, as I told you in the previous part, okay? And to the right, we have the meaning. But one thing is added to the whole system. Lexicon plus universal grammar, which is a combination of principles, okay? Parameters are added, okay? Well, because they are different from one language to another, the result is that parameters are again part of the system, but we are going to wait. So, if you actually go to page 10, there's an exercise there, and there is figure 1.7. This is the summary of what we say, okay? Figure 1.7 is everything. Again, you see the computational system there. And on the left, we have the PF, and to the right, we have LF, the sound and the meaning, okay? And there are, in fact, two interfaces, and phonetic forms, sound, etc. Well, and below we have the computational system and in fact, everything related to, in fact, this is written below it with things like provides links between sounds and meaning. Line figure 1.7. Provides the links between the computational system, provides the link between sound and meaning via phonetic form and logical form, relying on the lexicon and principles. This is what I wanted to say. So Chomsky's universal grammar says something like this, that we all humans have got the same type of thing. What is that? We have got language. And language is shared among all insan, among all human beings. Okay? We have got the language. As Surah Al-Rahman could say, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, as I told you, Ar-Rahman, Allama al-Quran, Khalaq al-Insan, Allamahu al-Bayan. Okay? This is important. Allamahu al-Bayan, according to Chomsky, is something like this. What is that? We are able to talk through principles and parameters, through universal grammar, through the lexicon that God has given us. Okay? This is what we want to say. Thank you very much.